Like, are we at a place where bots can transcribe at the same accuracy rate as humans?
Getting machines to be as accurate to humans is not the goal ever, right? The goal is not that we're looking to replace. The goal is how can we make people more productive by automating certain parts of the job that are perhaps really tedious.
Hello, I'm Anna Rachel Rich, and today I'm going to be talking to Farhan Mangiani, Revs' very own technical product marketing manager, about the wild world of speech recognition and how brands can integrate a speech rec strategy into their own products and services to really expand their offerings and learn from their audio. A lot of heavyweights in the tech world right now investing a ton of resources into developing and integrating speech rec into their products. So it's top of mind for many. The space is super new and just really developing at an astronomical rate. So people have a lot of questions, myself included. I know you really eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, so I wanted to get your thoughts on just how it's currently being used and where you see a lot of potential for brands specifically. A lot of layers to speech recognition, but at a high level, let's kick things off by talking about, what is speech recognition and specifically how does Rev.ai help businesses to leverage it to build powerful downstream applications?
There's so much to explore here. This industry is so fascinating. So at its core, speech recognition, automatic speech recognition specifically, is taking a machine and transforming audio and video into text. Because especially if you are a business and you have tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds or millions of thousands of millions of hours of audio and video, it's really hard to understand anything about that audio, search through it, anything like that, but you convert it into text and now everything is on the table, right? Becomes super easy to identify how many people are talking, what are they talking about, what is kind of the hidden meaning in all of these things? Can I identify some easy next steps or action items for me kind of en masse or within one specific time spot? So if you're video editing, need a transcript or need to get captions, anything like that, speech recognition is what you want.
Right, just getting it into that text form makes it a lot more actionable and accessible and just easier to process and organize. So, communications speech text software hasn't always been so seamless. Factors like location and environmental noise, just a lot of times there's stuff that's out of our control is really hard to deal with. But the tech is getting smarter at a really rapid rate, just getting better at recognizing those contextual factors. Being able to distinguish the different voices. And that technical term for it is speaker diarization, which you're very familiar with. Would love for you to kind of just break down what speaker diarization is and some common use cases for it.
The simplest definition is identifying who said what, right? So when Anna Rachel was talking and when Farhan was talking, if there are multiple speakers in a conversation like this, or even beyond two, especially if we're doing maybe multi-person interview where we have 6, 7 different individuals. If we are, for humans, it's really easy to often, just even if you close your eyes, you can pick up on the unique voices, unique accents, and kind of context clues, and always figure out when a speaker has changed. But for machines to actually do this, right, in mass especially, that's really the concept of diarization. And this is extremely powerful for a lot of different reasons. One example is in the legal industry. If we have a deposition, you actually have usually 2 parties, and each of those parties has some 2-3 people each. And if I am a clerk reporter in court, right, or court reporter, and I need to type up everything that's being said, as we've transitioned in the pandemic to that being completely virtual, now it is extremely critical, right? Where I now have a machine actually going through and transcribing. It's extremely critical to accurately not just transcribe, but identify when the defense is saying something versus the opposing party.
Yeah, it seems like there are a lot of real world applications for speaker diarization, and just since it's so rare for our audio to be perfectly clean, no background noise. So it's really great that Rev.ai is making that a top priority since it's just so so practical in a noisy world. Everyone's seen comical errors in live TV broadcasts and like with YouTube auto captions or in voicemail transcriptions. I thought it would be fun to flash a couple on screen just because they are very entertaining. All right, this first one is from I Came in Like a Wrecking Ball smartphone voicemail transcription, which they seem to often wreak havoc on very simple messages. But it says, "Hi, important Angela, get our cannibal hospital. We were just calling to remind you that Lady and Banana were both stupid. Blink in to have a heartworm test, yada, yada, yada." Pretty sure they're talking about an animal hospital, but stupid ladies and bananas at the cannibal hospital doesn't instill too much confidence in their ability to care for pets. And then just one more here. This is my personal favorite from @NicoLang. From Temmie a few years back, he said, "The audio transcription that Shoe Leather Kate recommended randomly inserted the word queen at the end of this interview. This is a truly iconic world historical moment at use, Temmie." So definitely some good content there. A big question that's on a lot of people's minds is, like, are we at a place where bots can transcribe at the same accuracy rate as humans? So how really do robots currently compare to humans in the accuracy space, and how does Rev.ai stack up against competitors on the accuracy front?
Yeah, great question. First, I wanted to point out that getting machines to be as accurate to humans is not the goal ever, right? The goal is not that we're looking to replace. The goal is how can we make people more productive by automating certain parts of the job that are perhaps really tedious. One example of this is when we created autopilot, we didn't eliminate the need for pilots. It lets pilots focus on the most important parts of the job, and the most fun parts, by the way, which are takeoff and landing. Similarly, within speech recognition, right, we have this great pool of freelancers here. We focus on giving those freelancers a starting point, right? Giving them a rough draft so they're not starting from scratch, so they can, in turn, go through more jobs, make more money. The entire process just becomes easier for them. And it is that specific relationship with kind of humans and machines together, which is why Rev.ai stacks up so well in the entire industry. And so I'm very confident saying Rev.ai is the most accurate speech text engine, especially for long form, high fidelity or high quality audio. And actually, because of this kind of large amount of pool of data that we have, in addition to this relationship with humans, we actually pride ourselves in having the least amount of bias when it comes to gender and ethnicities as well in terms of machine transcription.
Yeah, that's a super important point on the bias front. I know there's a lot of research across the industry being done right now to solve the issue. So it's great that Rev's really making it a top priority. And like you said, a lot of people, I think, often either see like AI and humans, it's an either or thing, but they make an excellent team, like you said. So this kind of idea of attended automation, I think, will probably be the ideal model for a while. AI is really moving into like a post-screen world. Sooner interactions with technology will involve less typing and button clicking and kind of more natural forms of expression, like speaking. To stay ahead of the curve, what industries or types of businesses really need to start implementing a speech-to-text strategy if they're not already?
We have a ton of industries that are applicable for this. In fact, it's a harder question for me to answer of who doesn't need to be thinking about speech-text, because the applications are kind of tenfold here. Anyone who has large volumes, right? We're talking tens of thousands of hours per year, should really start thinking about a speech text strategy. And we've mentioned a couple of reasons why, right? One is around accessibility. This is huge. How are you thinking about removing barriers of communication? How are you thinking about giving everyone in your audience a seat at that table? And then the second piece is just business value that transcribing your audio and video has for you. When you can start to really understand what types of audio are your customers really sending? What is ultimately the job that your customers are trying to achieve? And then how can you as a business layer on additional super valuable insights to kind of make them more productive? i.e., how can you find your own autopilot by first kind of transcribing everything and then taking a look at understanding, where can you make some great improvements for your customers.
So what would you recommend to someone who they see the potential of speech recognition for their brand, but what does that first step look like? How do they go about making that first step to integrate speech rec into their products?
It's something we thought a lot about because we actually use our own product internally all the time. We actually prioritize it ourselves, like I mentioned, for our freelancers, as well as a bunch of other different products. So setup was very, very top of mind. We're talking get set up in a couple of hours, right? So I would say step one, set up that account, start going through the steps. And more than anything, we know that when you have a problem, what's best is giving you immediate access to someone who actually understands your solution, who's actually implemented this before. So we have an entire team of technical engineers and support staff that are going to be there for you every step of the way. If you have any challenges with the integration, we'd be more than happy to help you out, so you spend less time setting it up and more time driving value for your business and reducing your own time to market.
Yeah, the team's very, very hands-on and knowledgeable across the board. So that's comforting to know for anyone who wants to take that first step. So a lot of big things to come in this space. You've really been a well of knowledge, so thank you so much for answering my questions. We'll be on the lookout for more big splashes from Rev.ai to come in the coming weeks and years. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And if any of you have any questions, feel free, reach out on LinkedIn. Always happy to chat what your speech tech strategy might look like.